Thank you so much for being here, and welcome back to the channel. So in this new season of reconnecting with my creativity and falling in love with art again, one of my goals was to document my life for YouTube. So today I'm sharing all of the gear and the tech in my setup, as well as some stuff that eventually I want to invest in to get even more footage out of this life. And we're going to get very much nerdy, very much techie today. So grab your matcha, grab your coffee, whatever you like to drink, and I hope this video is helpful for you. So let's get into it. So I've been making content for about 10 years now, and I've had a camera in my hands for literally as long as I can remember. So I've had a good amount of time to grow and learn all this. So I say all that to say, don't pressure yourself to be perfect out the gate, just start, you'll pick it up. So beginning with the audio and sound related part of my setup. I personally believe that sound is just as important, if not more important than visuals. There's just something so satisfying to our brains about crispy, clear audio. So I personally use the DJI Mic 2s, which is what you're hearing right now and is clipped to my shirt here. This is by far one of the best investments I made to my content. They were super easy to set up. Like literally I just take a 3.5mm or headphone jack cable, connect the receiver to my camera, turn the microphones on, and it's done. Of course you can tweak the settings if you want to. I did very little tweaking just because I wanted to. I just open it up, turn it on, and use it. No other work is needed. It also comes with 2 microphones and has a noise canceling feature, so if you're out in public or if you're filming outside and it's windy, you can just pop the windscreen on, put on the noise canceling mode, and you're set. Also, this case that it comes with is a charging case, so it extends your battery life as well. And then all that is wrapped in a cute little carrying case. There are adapters to connect to your phone as well, and I've had no problems using the microphones with my phone. I know a lot of people also use the Rode Go Wireless 2, I believe it's called. And I just personally preferred the audio out of the DJI mics over the Rode, as well as the look of the DJI mics being a little bit more sleek to me and cute. But I know that that's another well-known option as well if you're looking to compare. Another sound-related item that I use both in daily life and for working are my JBL Tune 770 headphones. Overall, I really enjoy these headphones, but there are some pros and cons that I want to talk about with them. Starting with the pros, I genuinely really like the audio quality. Like the sound that comes out of the headphones is clear, and I've never had a problem with that. And most importantly, they are so comfortable. I originally got them to wear to the gym. I wear them during my entire hour-long workout, and I have no problems with like headaches or anything like that. The Bluetooth has pretty good range as well, and the battery life is great. And that brings me to the cons. The sound spill on these headphones, which is when you can hear your music or whatever you're listening to from outside the headphones, is pretty bad. Like I was trying to be hot and mysterious in the gym one time, and you could literally hear the Hamilton coming out of my headphones. Come on now. So if privacy about what you're listening to is important to you, then that's something to consider about these. And secondly, these headphones have a noise canceling feature that I'm just not impressed with at all. And I know it's not entirely fair to compare, but I had a pair of AirPod Maxes that I returned because they were so uncomfortable. But the noise canceling on AirPod Maxes is completely unmatched. It's like no other, in my opinion. And I also use my AirPod Pros as well, which are my favorite headphones that I've ever owned. And so having that experience with really good noise canceling, these just don't live up to that. And that is all the audio related tech. So let's move on to the camera. First I'll talk about the camera body, then I'll talk about the lens, and then I will talk about the settings that I use to record. So the camera that I record with is the Sony a6700, and all of the content on my channel so far has been recorded with this camera. And it is and was my dream camera. This is a mirrorless APS-C camera that films in 4K up to 120 frames per second, even though I literally never record in 120 frames per second. It has Sony's autofocus technology, as well as in-body stabilization, all the bells and whistles. And even though it isn't a full-frame camera, I haven't really had any issues with low-light performance, because I really started nailing my low-light settings, and I typically record during the day. My personal favorite thing about this camera is that you can customize all of the buttons up there, and it's a very tactile experience when you're using it. There's memory recall mode for quickly swapping between settings, and custom buttons that you can map however you want. And it is a hybrid camera, so it also takes amazing photos, but I plan on getting a Fujifilm camera for photography. I'm pretty sure I want to get the X-T5, but I still have to do a little bit of research about which one I want. But I do still take pictures with this camera, and they come out beautiful. If I had to go back and choose a camera, I would pick this one every time. I know some people were having issues with overheating on this camera, and that's only ever happened to me once, and then I did a firmware update and it hasn't happened again. But if it did happen, I would probably just buy a camera fan, honestly, because I love everything else about this camera. But again, I haven't had that problem since I did a firmware update. And the lens that I pair with this camera is the Sigma 18-50 f2.8 lens, and I have a Tiffin Pro Mist filter attached to the front, not the black Pro Mist, just the regular Pro Mist. So I chose this lens for a couple of reasons, predominantly that it was small enough not to add a crazy amount of weight to the setup, so it's still pretty portable and travel friendly. And the focal length range between 18 to 50 millimeters was generally wide enough for everything that I wanted to achieve. If you're not familiar with focal length, it's pretty much how wide or zoomed in a shot is. So for example, right now I'm filming at 18 millimeters. But if we zoom in to get all the way to the 50 millimeters, this is what it looks like with me sitting at the same distance. And it's a little close for my taste. I prefer a more wide shot. So that's why I like to have my camera pretty much as zoomed out as possible. Although I will say 18 millimeters isn't quite wide enough for me for my personal taste, but I don't want to buy another lens if I'm just going to get a DJI with a wide angle attachment, you know? But generally that range is perfectly fine. And also, since this is an f2.8 lens, if you're not familiar with f-stops, essentially the lower the number, the more light is let into the camera, so it performs better in low light situations and offers more background blur. For example, if I zoom in on my matcha, you can see that the background here is blurry because the foreground is in focus. And the higher the f-stop is, the less light is let into the lens and more of the picture is in focus. So you can have an f2.8 lens, you can have an f4 lens, even an f1.4. It generally just depends on the look that you're going for. So lastly is my Pro Mist filter from Tiffin. So the Pro Mist filter gives the bloom effect that you can see. Like for example, let's zoom in on my earring. The way the sun is hitting my earring and it has that glare, the bloom around the highlights. Or even when my camera flash is on, it's kind of glowy around the highlights. That's the effect that it gives, as well as making my footage look and feel a lot softer, which I prefer aesthetically. It kind of takes the digital sharpness out of things and makes it feel a little more like film. So 1/8 is the softest of the effects, and I believe 1 is the highest, like the strongest effect. And if I had to go back, I'd probably buy the 1/4 instead of the 1/8 just to get even more of that bloom. And so that I could swap out in situations depending if I want more or less. So I know I already mentioned that I wanted to get the Fujifilm, but I also would like to get the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 because as much as the camera is small and travel friendly, it was also pretty expensive and I don't necessarily feel comfortable always carrying that around. And that means I miss out on a lot of shots and footage that I could be getting. So I think the DJI with the wide angle lens would satisfy both my desire for a wider shot and also something more portable and something that I wouldn't necessarily have to overthink bringing out with me like I would with my camera. Almost out of matcha. So next I want to talk about the settings that I use to record. So I always film in either HLG3 or S-Log3. I don't film in normal or with no color profile. I always film in 24 frames per second with 422 10-bit footage. And I typically always use auto white balance unless there's a situation with different color lights. Then I'll set the white balance manually. In terms of aperture and ISO, which essentially say how bright or dark the footage is going to be, I always set that manually to whatever scene or whatever atmosphere I'm in. I never use the auto because if there's one thing I cannot stand in my footage is blown out skies, blown out highlights, or anything super bright in frame that just has no color data in it whatsoever. It just looks like a white thing because I'm such a sucker for details and I always film with natural light and I love using the sun in my shots. So S-Log3 and HLG3 both give me that really good dynamic range to be able to work with. When I film in S-Log3, the base ISO is 800, so I never dip below that, and I just adjust my aperture as needed. But when I film in HLG3, I adjust for the highlights. I know S-Log3 is scary for a lot of people because when you look it up, there are so many rules and regulations on how you should use it. I just say don't follow any of the rules. Pick up your camera, record in S-Log3, and just try to color grade different scenarios. See how you like it, adjust for your next shot, and do that until you've developed a look that you like. Because when I was worried so much about the S-Log3 rules, I just would never film in S-Log3. But then when I started filming in S-Log3, a whole world of color got unlocked for me. We gotta move over here to catch the sun more. Matcha's gone. So I typically use S-Log3 when I'm filming something that has very bright highlights and very dark shadows. For example, if a window is open and the lights are off, or if something in the scene is much brighter than everything else, then I'll film in S-Log3 so that I get the most range. And I'll film in HLG3 in pretty much every other scenario. Like right now, sitting down, normally I'd record this in S-Log3, but right now I'm recording in HLG3. But all the footage that's at my desk is recorded in S-Log3. I hope that makes sense, but if there's anything that you want clarification on, feel free to ask. Okay, so my main tripod is just the Amazon Basics one that I got many years ago. It doesn't get tall enough for my liking because I like high angle shots, but I'll just prop it up on something if I need to. But it's really just a standard regular old tripod, no bells and whistles or anything like that. It extends, it collapses, stuff like that. But this is my other tripod right here that I pretty much do not use. I initially wanted to get a smaller tripod so that I could have more on the go filming, or just something that could be more handheld. But this is very, very bulky. Like, she's a big girl, and it started becoming more of a hindrance to use this than just hold my camera. So I hardly use this one, but I don't want it to just be sitting here going to waste, so I try to use it here and there wherever I can. Now, one of my favorite and more unnecessary parts of my setup is my overhead mount. Like I said, I love high angle and overhead shots, and this mount allows me to get really cool desk shots. I like to use it for matcha making clips, drawing videos, POV type of things. It screws onto my desk. It is so sturdy. Like, I never worry about my camera when it's on this thing. And it's like metal or aluminum, so it feels very high quality. And out of all the years I've had it, it still looks like brand new. So the last group of stuff is more of the life tech and post filming stuff. So beginning with my desk, I have this standing desk that I purchased about a year ago, and I really just needed something that was going to support my back, because between building my web design studio, recording content, and just being on my computer, I'm there a lot and I don't always want to be sitting. So a standing desk was an appropriate next step for me. This one is very sturdy. Like, the stuff I have up there is pretty heavy. Like, my money tree is pretty heavy. While it was definitely easy to set up, I will say those pieces are heavy. And y'all know I be in the gym, so it was okay for me to pick up, but if upper body strength is not your thing, then you might want to call somebody to help you put it together, because you have to flip the desk over, and they're big pieces. Like, I was definitely getting my leg workout in that day, my arm workout as well. This Red Dragon mechanical keyboard is one of my favorite desk upgrades. I mean, she is so cute. It lights up, it works seamlessly with my iMac, which was a concern for me because the buttons are different. And the sound is so cute, listen. And you can see it lighting up there too. And it also wasn't super expensive compared to how pricey keyboards can get, so I was happy about that. This desk riser that holds all my little trinkets and my keyboard was made by my lovely boyfriend Adam. Shout out to him, because who would have known those little pieces of wood were going for $40 and $50? Hello? So now I have the cutest little custom built desk riser made for $7 in material, and we all collectively say thank you, Adam. Yeah. So the computer and the software that I use for editing, I have the 2023 M3 iMac. I do all of my designing, editing, YouTube watching on this computer. I also edit with DaVinci Resolve, which is free. All my color grading, sound design, all of that is all with DaVinci Resolve. And I have a little converter attached to my computer to get all my footage from my SD card to my computer. It's just an SD to USB-C converter. And I also have a USB-C flash drive up there to give me more storage. And last but not least, of course, when I'm ready for a break after a long day of editing or working or whatever, I have my Nintendo Switch at my desk to play games. Okay, I know that was a lot. How you feeling? You good? But that is my current vlogging / creative setup. When I do get my hands on those other two cameras, I will definitely let you know. Come back and do an updated vlogging setup video. And I also just like chatting about this type of techie stuff as well. If you made it to the end of the video, shout out to you. You are officially an OG. And if you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to let your girl know, because I'd be up in the comments. Okay, thank you so much for stopping by. See ya!